Last year, I reviewed the VZR Model 1, and I called it, quote, a gaming headset that could also perform in pro audio as well as impress audiophiles. Well, VZR has sent me another Model 1 for review, and they made a few subtle improvements. Let's talk about it.
Nico knows tech, all your tech tips and reviews on deck. Nico knows tech, #1 channel with the news on check.
So for those of you that haven't seen the VZR Model 1 before, or you haven't seen my review last year of the Model 1, it's a premium gaming headset geared towards people who really appreciate audio quality, whether in the studio, listening to music, or gaming. VZR Audio is a company started by Michael Henin and Vic Tescarino, essentially two great geniuses coming together. I see it kind of like Albert Einstein and Marilyn von Savant having twin baby boys who later started an audio company. Now the VZR Model 1 comes in this nice carrying case. It's a hard case with felt liner, red on black accents, has a carrying handle, very nice. And inside you'll find your cables. This is the main cable that you will use. It is 3.5 millimeter. It includes a breakout cable if you need to go one for microphone and one for audio out. And that terminates to dual mono, one for each speaker. So one will go in the left and one will go in the right. VZR Model 1 itself is mostly plastic on the outside of the driver. However, it does have carbon fiber inlays here, real carbon fiber. All of this here is part of the acoustic treatment. Can't go too into it due to an NDA I signed. Piano black accents. I actually did a whole unboxing on my other review, which you can check on the channel, or you can check on Instagram for just the unboxing video. Then we have a cast aluminum frame mixed with spring steel, and then it has a lot of movement. It doesn't move the same as the one that I was sent before. In fact, I'll get the other one to show you the differences. Over here we have the first one that I was sent, which I'm going to call the pre-production or prototype. That's not what VZR Audio says. VZR Audio, they've told me straight to my face, and I believe them, that this was a full production model and that the new one here is still the VZR Model 1. It's still a production model, but it has some subtle improvements. But I'll explain why in my opinion, it seems like this one is a prototype. So first off, these ear pads are not the ear pads that it came with. They come with the same exact ear pads. I changed the ear pads to these AKGs because when I had these last year, I was in a more hot environment and I put these cooling gel pads from AKG. But I'm not going to recommend these necessarily. If you want to, you can ask me in the comments and I can tell you where you can find these. But it does change the sound a lot, and it will make it not the way VZR Audio necessarily intended. But if you want to experiment, that's what being an audiophile is all about. But anyway, everything, it looks almost the same except something about the structure. These are more floppy. When you hold them up, they tend to twist a lot more quick and flatten out like that. The new one, on the other hand, stays pretty much where it's supposed to be. I mean, you can manipulate it, but when you're holding it and operating it, it doesn't tend to just flatten out all the time. It's a lot less floppy. And another thing that's different is the microphone size. The microphone is longer on the new one, significantly longer. I would say almost an inch. We can actually take them out and compare. So this is the old one, and then here is the new one. So it's a bit longer. And I think that was to help with some low gain problems. Some people that were using the VZR Model 1 with certain types of sound cards had to really boost the gain because this was kind of away from the chin. And I'll show you when I demonstrate the microphone and we can compare them side by side. But anyway, the new one has a longer microphone boom, helps it to get more in front of the player's mouth. And I think that's a good improvement. It actually goes over here, duh. And another subtle thing as to why I thought this was a pre-production model was I was able to see some machining marks here. So it was a little bit more flat here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's some machine marks here. Also, the screws on the older one are Phillips instead of this torque style. So everything just seemed a bit more tightened up on the new model. And everything sound-wise appeared to be the same to me. I compared them side by side. They're identical as far as their sound performance. The main thing was the build just seemed a little bit more fine-tuned, a little bit more premium. I mean, this is great build quality, but there were some little things that made it, the floppiness. So, and Just so I can make this clear, VZR Audio told me that if you are a customer of the first release, that's not the official title, but if you were a part of the pre-orders and the first launch and yours is in any way, it's like this, and you want yours to be like the current release with the longer microphone and also a cable change, there's an electrical change in here that makes the microphone higher gain. The folks at VZR Audio said they will make yours like this, not a problem. So just contact them and they'll take care of you. Now, something I forgot to mention is that in addition to the 6-foot primary cable you get for the VZR Model 1, included in the box is also around a 4-foot extension cable. This could become particularly useful in the studio if you're moving from station to station, or if you're a gamer and you like to sit a little bit further back from the screen. Now we've got the differences out of the way, let's dig in. So what you get when you get the VZR Model 1 is first off an overall premium design. Starting with the ear cups, these are really luxurious, real squishy, memory foam with this nice protein leather. The insides are ported and there's a lot of room in here. So my ears don't touch the driver. And speaking of the driver, let's take a look underneath. Now this black disc in the center is actually an acoustic aperture called CrossWave, which is designed to channel the audio of this round 40mm driver to different parts of the ear. So instead of it being this round disc driver just blasting at generally in a random location to your ear and just letting it fall where it may, they've taken the time to scientifically determine what parts of the driver are producing the sound and where they should go on the ear. There's even this grooving here. And this, plus the entire acoustic treatment on the back, on the inside of here, is to create an overall great spatial audio experience. Spatial audio, surround, all of that is a big buzzword within VZR as I've been talking to them. That seems to be their favorite word, is spatial audio, positional audio, and that really translates to competitive gaming, an immersive experience, a speaker-like experience, you could say, in like a studio, because we mix with speakers in the studio, and we typically use headphones for reference or analysis to get a little bit closer. And so that's where the detail of these matched drivers. These are 40mm dynamic drivers that are matched. If you're not familiar with that is, we typically talk about that on high-end audiophile headphones that are in the $900 to $1,000 plus range. It's really refreshing and unique to see something in the $349 price range to use matched drivers, because that's an extra expense that most people don't put themselves to make this driver match exactly the other one and meet the exact specifications of the designer. Normally you can just grab them off the shelf, they're the same model, they're close enough. Not in this case. They took a lot of attention to detail. And these ear pads are completely removable. You can change them, you can replace them. There are some third parties that will fit these, but they're not labeled as such. You're kind of going to have to do some measurements, and you can also contact me in the comments, and I can show you what works for me. But these are designed for using these. So any kind of experimentation will change the audio a bit, maybe for better, maybe for worse. But just overall, these are just greatly built, very premium. If you look here, we have some beautiful red stitching. This is a cast aluminum down here, the frame, and then the headband over here is spring steel. Just everything is high-end. Now, regarding spatial audio, now surround technology all starts at the source. That's where that DSP takes place. And I'm going to show you how to activate that on your Windows PC. Now, activating surround sound on a Windows PC is as simple as first left-clicking on the sound icon down here, and then making sure you have the right sound card enabled, whether it be Realtek, or in my case, I'm using the Sound Blaster XG6, an external USB DAC, which I can link in the description. Once that's selected, you can right-click on the audio icon, and then you have the spatial sound option here. Now then you select Windows Sonic for headphones, and bam, you have surround sound going out of that output. Now going a step further, you could activate Dolby Atmos, which is a step above the rest. You can get it through the Windows Store, and then when you activate Dolby Atmos instead of Windows Sonic, you have all of these options. First off, you get the premier Dolby Access, Dolby Atmos surround technology, but you can also EQ it. You have all of these presets right here. You can also enable performance mode if you're a competitive gamer and you want to be able to prioritize positional accuracy. You can also create your own custom EQ waves to custom EQ your headphones the way you want. So that's a step above Windows Sonic, but this one is $14.99. But if you want to get that, you can just get it through the Windows Store whenever you like. But yeah, just right-click clicking here and selecting Windows Sonic. You can go a step further. If you don't have this option, you can open up Sound Settings and then Device Properties under your speaker output. And then you choose here under Spatial Sound Format, you select one here. Either way works, but that's how you activate spatial audio on Windows computers. Now the comfort of the Model 1 is what really sets it apart from other headphones. We have this self-adjusting strap on top. You just pull it down. Perfect fit every time. There is a bit of clamping force on the sides, but it's totally compensated by the memory foam ear pads. And there's no hot spots whatsoever. There is even this divot on the top, so if you're wearing like a ball cap, that can allow that center line to go through. And also some people might have a hot spot in the center of the head. Not a problem with the Model 1. They do isolate sound a lot, so they have a really good seal, and that can be really good if you're playing in a tournament or if you're trying to block out outside noise. I like it because I like to be totally immersed, and also I'm sometimes in a noisy environment. I like to be able to block out noise. Also, I can wear these when I'm working front of the house at a concert, and these are isolating enough to where I can get my work done. Now, describing the sound of the Model 1 is difficult because it's not as simple as saying, oh yeah, it's got great treble, or oh, it's got a lot of bass, or oh, it's detailed. It is detailed. It's very revealing. You can hear a lot of footsteps, which you can't hear on a lot of other headphones because they're very low distortion, really high resolution, and great imaging, especially due to them being designed around spatial audio. So that acoustic aperture, which I don't really know exactly how it does it. I know what it does, but I don't know how it affects the brain psychoacoustically to achieve its goal, but it's got great detail. It's very balanced, so you don't have one frequency screaming ahead of the others. You have a really rich, tight, controlled bass response that doesn't appear weak at any times. It's just always there but only when it's supposed to be. You could consider it slightly boosted because it has a really good bass response, but I think it's just hitting lower than a lot of headphones typically can. Most headphones hit between 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, and this one hits 10 hertz to 30,000 hertz, so it hits lower and higher than most headphones. So that's what I'm thinking. And this has a very speaker-like type of sound. They don't feel like these tiny little drivers. They're 40 millimeter, but they have a big speaker sound when you're wearing them. And I've been able to mix with these in the studio the way I would normally use speakers instead of headphones. So all around, the sound just is great. And I've even used these for enjoyment listening to music, especially when I like a lot of slam, because they have good impact. It doesn't slam and hurt your ears. You can actually listen to them very loud, and I do listen to them very loud because they don't hurt my ears. And I like a lot of impact on certain things. So jazz music sounds fantastic. Rock music, rap music, EDM, a lot of types of music just really shine. And I'll listen to music that I haven't listened to in a long time with these because I want to hear how the VZR Model 1 produces them. Now let's go ahead and plug in the microphone, and for the rest of this review, I'm actually going to wear the headset and use the headphone of the VZR Model 1's boom mic. Now, one of the complaints that some buyers had of the VZR Model 1 was that the microphone didn't have the appropriate gain for some sound cards. Now, my sound cards, they have a gain boost, so I can always adjust for whatever microphone I'm using. But, there's a lot of players that just want to plug in their headphones and work. So they did boost the gain, and that was done electrically right here. And I'll go into a little bit more about some cool stuff this thing does. But an improvement was bringing the microphone boom longer so it could reach in front of the mouth a bit more. So the previous one was a bit farther back here, and you can watch my other review to hear how that one sounded. In my opinion, the previous boom sounded fine, but then again, I was using gain boost, which is a feature of my sound card. So I was able to compensate for that, which is what I do to a lot of wired headphones. But I think VZR saw that, hey, if you're spending $349 on a headphone, it should work just out of the box and be able to perform better than most headphones without any kind of fine-tuning or audio production knowledge. One of the nice things about it is there's not a whole lot going on over here. So it is passively noise isolating. It's not perfect. But it does block some noise. You guys can tell me how it sounds. In my opinion, I think this sounds broadcast quality. It sounds similar to what I would wear working a concert, because we wear these big headphones, and I'll talk to the stage director or one of the producers and talk to the team. And this is what you would hear in a professional headset. So it's not going to replace, like necessarily a full size, podcast mic. But for a headset mic for professional gaming and communicating, talking on Discord, things like that, in my opinion, it sounds pretty darn good. You can tell me how it sounds in the comments. And congratulations on making it to the end of the video. Hope you found this review helpful. If you like it, please click like and consider subscribing. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time.